Okay, welcome everybody to our Veganuary interactive cooking series. I'm your host for this week, Chelsea B. Davis of Veggies Do It Better. Also one of the co-founders along with Isaac here of Animal Rights Collective Portland, which is fiscally sponsored by Northwest Animal Rights Network, or NARN, which Sadie, who's here, is also a part of. So we are so happy to have you all here. Welcome, happy Veganuary. We're starting this in the middle of the month because this is kind of like, a lot of people have big expectations and goals in the beginning of the month, and they tend to kind of taper off as the month goes, which is just how it goes. So we're doing like a reset. So we're trying to get people more excited and reinvigorated about Veganuary, which for those who don't know, I'm sure everybody here does, but for those who don't, it's a 31-day program. It started in Europe and the UK in 2014. It was a huge success. So now they do it year round, but obviously the big push of the year is during January with New Year's resolutions and intentions being set for the year. So that's why they call it Veganuary. So today we're starting off this series. This is 3 weeks. We've got 2 cookbooks that we're going to be giving away to 2 different participants today. So we've got the Vegan Thai Kitchen. This is actually by the instructor who's going to be here the 3rd week, Sarah Jensala. She is also the co-owner of 2 different vegan establishments here, or vegan-friendly Thai establishments here in Portland, one being Katsi Thai, which if you haven't been yet, go, it's so good. And she's a pharmacist. She works with Chrissy and who's Isaac's wife, who's on here too. So Chrissy and Isaac are actually the ones who got the connection with Sarah, and we're really excited to have her on week 3. So that's going to be one cookbook. We're giving this away every week. And then the second cookbook will have to do with, the theme of the week. So this week is Veganizing Classic. So I have this cookbook that's just the complete vegan cookbook. It's got a ton of different recipes from, veganizing your mashed potatoes to different sandwiches and all sorts of things. So we'll pick 2 winners at the end, and then I will mail these off to you guys. So we're going to get started with our dish tonight, which is the veganized hamburger helper. And I was talking to a couple people on here as we were trying to figure out the whole Zoom thing. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there with us on that. Between Zoom and Facebook, it's like, But yeah, so hamburger helper is like a super processed, awful for you, boxed pasta dish that's very similar to like mac and cheese, where it comes with noodles and then like a powdered seasoning. And then what you do is, instead of adding like milk and butter, which you would do with mac and cheese, you add a type of animal meat, flesh. And so, of course, we don't want to do that. We want to veganize things because as humans, we are very, we're looking for things that are tastes and textures that we're used to. So when you go vegan, the most important thing to do is to find things that your brain is used to. So if you're used to things like having like a cheesy pasta, which essentially this is like a cheeseburger pasta, or if you love cream cheese, then I really encourage you to try, and plus cream cheese you can't find anywhere right now because the dairy industry is going down. So, try different things. If you don't like them, you can often return them to the grocery store. I tell that people on the DL a lot. You can say that you just didn't enjoy the taste, or, something was off about it. So, a lot of people get worried about trying different things, different cheeses, different meats, vegan ones, because they're worried about the price and the commitment with that. But you can always, just try different things. If you don't like it, give it away and just keep going. I hear people that are like, well, I tried a vegan dish and I didn't like it, so it wasn't for me. And I'm sure that everybody here has burnt toast at one time, and that didn't keep you from making toast a second time, or, next time after that. So the thing about veganism, like I'm saying, is to just find things that your brain is used to, that you enjoy. So whether, my mother-in-law loves ice cream, so we're always giving her different ice creams to try. So anyway, so with that, that's about veganizing classics. So I come from a family that's Danish and French, and it's a lot of cheese, it's a lot of dairy. I always had stomach aches growing up. So like at Christmas time, my mom always makes this rice pudding, which is, it's literally white rice boiled in milk, and then you fold it with whipping cream. It's terrible. But I veganized it one year, and I did it with, and then it has almond flavoring in it. So I made almond milk and then an almond whip, and it's delicious. And now my sister actually prefers it over the one that my mom makes. And now I'm able to still participate in that tradition. So with that, if you have a dish that maybe you're really interested in veganizing, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to give you some suggestions, or I'm a correspondent and a frequent flyer, we'll say, on UnchainedTV, which used to be Jane Unchained. She's on Facebook and she just started an app. And so we actually just did a lunch break live today going over different snacks for people just starting with veganism in Veganuary. But I'm always loving to create new recipes. So if you have an idea of something that you'd love to veganize, please reach out to me and I'd love to make a recipe and then share it online. So we're going to get started. I put the recipe in the chat. We're going to be doing everything from start to finish together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure out our cashews if you are doing the cashew cream, and get those soaking in hot water because they just take about 10 minutes. So you want to do boiling water. So if you already pre-soaked your cashews, that's great. If you don't have cashews, that's fine. You can use like an unsweetened plant milk will work great for this. And then you'll just want to add a little bit of arrowroot or cornstarch in there to thicken it up, because what we're doing with the cashews is like more like a half and half, which I'll talk about in a minute. So at the bottom, I've got the separate recipe for the cashews. So we're going to start with a 1/4 cup of the raw cashews. I get mine from Costco because they're really well priced there. This is like one of the best priced, one of the like best things you can get at Costco. Like nuts are really good, nut butters, Beyond Meat is really cheap there, produce, stuff like that. So Costco, you know, 1/3 of the stuff is overpriced, 1/3 is underpriced, and 1/3 of it is right in the center, and the underpriced stuff is what gets you. But there's a lot of great vegan options. So we're going to do a 1/4 cup. Okay, here, get my boiling water going. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to unmute yourself. I do want this to be as interactive as possible. We're just going to do a 1/4 cup. I'm going to put it in boiling water. Okay, and then while that's going, we're gonna turn our pot on. I like to use a like a cast iron pot for this, but any pot will do. You just want to put it on medium, like medium high, like a 5 or 6 on your oven or your stove. And then we've got our cashews in some boiling water. So then those are just going to take like 10 minutes to soak. So while they're soaking, we're going to cut up our onions and our garlic and add that to the pot. So while the pot is heating up, we're going to get our onion, beautiful onion. A cup of onion is about a medium-sized onion, but I always, when I write my recipes, I always like to use actual measurements. It drives me crazy when it's like 2 loaves of garlic or 2 cloves of garlic or like a medium onion, because it's like they change in size. So we've got this. I'm really into like washing my stuff really well. So I love the Norwex products. This is like a fruit and veggie wash. You can also use distilled vinegar, works really well to just cut any grime. Even on organic produce, there's a lot of residue, just because even in organic growing, you're still allowed to use certain pesticides and herbicides and things like that. So I like to spray it. And then I've got this fruits and veggie cloth, which is really cool. It's soft on one side and hard on the other. So this rougher side is really great for stuff like this. The softer side is great for like mushrooms and things. And then I also, and this is just a personal preference, I like to wash my stuff in filtered water because water is really important too, to make sure that that's clean. So I'm going to do that real quick. And you guys go ahead and wash your onion as well. And even though there's skin on here, I still like to wash it, because when you cut with a knife, that you're touching the skin and then you're going through all the food. And so it's actually getting dirty on your food too. I'm actually going to move my camera. So I'm going to close the camera and then move it so you guys don't get dizzy. I like to cut one side off to take the edge and then peel that first layer off. But I keep one side on here, and I'm going to show you why. So peel all of that off like so. And then what I like to do is you put slices into the onion, but you're not going all the way. So can you guys see that? Okay, so you're not going all the way. You're making slices big enough that are going to be what those chunks are going to be. And then this way your onion is it stays together, and it's just a lot safer and cleaner that way. I also want to make sure you're using a super sharp knife. Most people cut themselves because their knife is too dull. So see how the onion is still all attached, but we've got those slices in there. Sorry, this camera isn't the best, so it's a little hard to do that. And so then now we've got it all together, and then we're just going to do those slices. And I like to hold the onion like this, and then hold my my knife like this. It just gives you a little bit more control. And then see how it all stays together. It doesn't like move around. Jake actually taught me this. My husband. And then when it gets to the bottom, then I just turn it and keep going. And try not to talk because the onions get me. Okay. So see how these are all like perfectly uniform. It wasn't a big mess. So we're going to do a cup of onion. In here, I think I'm going to need to cut a little bit more. Do the other side real quick. Again, we're just going to cut from one end. Take the skin off. And then do that slice technique. All right, so we got about a cup there.
I only have a red onion instead of you're using a white or yellow.
I'm using a yellow, but a red will be fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You're totally good. Okay, so now I'm going to move the camera back so you guys can see the pot. The magic of television. The magic of Zoom-o-vision. All right, we're going to try this. I put it up a little higher. There we go. Cool. If you guys could see my setup, you would be laughing. There's boxes and computers and all sorts of things involved. Okay, so we're going to get our cooking oil. You can use olive oil since we're not like frying, you're just lightly sauteing, or a coconut oil. You use coconut oil, you want to use like a refined one because then it's not so coconutty, takes the coconut flavor out. I really like this one from Chosen. It's an avocado, coconut, and safflower oil. Safflower is really good. Sunflower oil is good. Avocado oil is really good. Those are more like neutral oils, so those are great to cook with. And we're going to do, I did not listen to my own instructions and get my, okay, we're going to do about 1 to 2 teaspoons in here. There we go. And take that up to about a 6. Throw the onions in. There we go. And then we're going to throw in the garlic as well. So I like to get these big containers of garlic. I just get them at grocery outlet, and actually I got this at grocery outlet too. It's a really great spot to get cheap staples. So we're gonna do, let's see what's our recipe say. 1 to 2 teaspoons of garlic. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons, but some people are more sensitive to garlic. If you're sensitive to garlic and onions in general, what you can do is you can switch out into onion and garlic granules. The way that they're processed and the way that they're dried, it doesn't cause as much of a reaction and stomach discomfort as regular garlic and onion. And then I've got my spatula. I'm gonna move that around. We're just gonna let this cook for a couple minutes until the onions get translucent. my favorite spatula. I don't even know where it came from, but they don't make them like this anymore. They're nice and thin. This is probably from the 60s, the 50s or the 60s, but I see them sometimes in like thrift stores and things like that. And I actually found another one and grabbed that because they're just, I don't know why, I just love having this like really thin spatula. My favorite things. Okay, we're gonna let that cook a little bit. And then we're gonna get all of our seasonings together. We're using chili powder. If you like spice, you can use a spicier chili powder. I'll show you the ones that we use when we get in bulk at, I don't know, can you guys see that? At Natural Grocers, they do a lot of bulk seasonings. And they also have a spicy one too. So sometimes I'll cook with that one because Jake likes everything spicy. And we're also using paprika. You can use regular ground paprika if you have that. If you have smoked paprika though, it just adds another level of flavor that's really delicious. And this company is Local Spicery, and they actually work a lot with Chef AJ. I don't know if people on here are familiar with her, but she's really into the SOS diet, which Janine will be talking about next week. And the SOS diet is no salt, sugar, or oil. So all of the seasonings that they do with her, she helps them create seasoning blends, are salt-free, which is really nice. And the one that they have that's amazing is their pepperoni spice one. It's so good. We like to put it in our spaghetti. And now they started coming out with bigger containers, which is great. And then we're also going to be using Italian seasoning. If you don't have Italian seasoning, you can just use oregano. This is another bulk bag that we got at National Grocers. We're going to be doing ground pepper and sea salt, or you can use real salt. Don't use table salt. Table salt is super bad for you. And I just read that it actually, some table salts have some weird animal product in them, and that's why they started doing kosher salt. So, but it's just a chemical experiment. There's like 200 to 400 chemicals that are used in making table salt. And if you get real salt or Himalayan pink salt, the salt makeup of it is actually the same as the salt in our blood. So it's really good for our bodies. It's a great electrolyte. It's got lots of great minerals and things, trace minerals for us. Okay, so our onions are all set. You can see that they're translucent and ready for the spices. So we're going to go ahead and add all of our spices now, starting with a teaspoon of the chili powder. Anybody have any questions so far? Chili powder, and then half a teaspoon of everything else. So next is the Italian seasoning or oregano for doing that. Paprika. Sea salt. And then the salt, it depends on which bouillon you're using or beef broth. Like I'm using this no beef broth from Halo, Ocean's Halo, and it's pretty low sodium. But if you're using something like a bouillon cube or the Better Than Beef bouillon cube, this has more salt in it. So you might want to start with like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then you can always add later. It's much easier to add than to subtract. I don't know. About half a teaspoon of that, and then a little bit of ground pepper. Got the seasonings going, and then next we're going to add our liquid. So we're doing 1 1/4 cups of the vegan beef broth. And 1/4.
Chelsea, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I don't know how I signed up for this, but how do I get the recipes ahead of time?
Oh, so the recipes are posted in, sorry, the camera, in the Facebook page. Oh, okay. The recipes are posted, they're pinned on the event page. But then I'm also, if you signed up via email, if you register, then I'll email out the recipes next week. I
think
missed
it
that.
came off of Instagram someplace, so I'm not sure how I got it.
So I posted it on my on Veggies Do It Better. There's a post there too.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to post it everywhere, but I definitely messed up and I didn't email everyone. So I do apologize for that. But I've got the recipes there. It's also in the chat. So if you do want to make it later, more than welcome to. So we've got that. Now we're going to head back over to the cashew cream. Our cashews have been soaking for a while now, so they're nice and plump and really soft. So what I'm going to do is strain them. I'm going to put them in my high-speed blender with ½ cup of water. The rule of thumb, if you do 1-to-1, so sorry, the camera's all weird. If you do 1 part cashew, so like say it's a ¼ cup of cashews and then you do a ¼ cup of filtered water, that's going to give you a cashew cream. If you do a 1-to-2, so ¼ cup to a ½ cup of water, which is what we're doing today, that's more like a half and half consistency, so slightly thicker than like a milk. And then if you do 1-to-3, then that would be like milk. So for those of you that have a milk that you're doing, you do want to thicken it up a little bit. So you'll just add like ½ a teaspoon to probably just ½ a teaspoon actually of cornstarch or arrowroot. If you don't have any, don't worry about it. It'll just be a little bit thinner. It's not a big deal. And if you don't have a high-powered blender, what you can do is just blend it a really long time in your regular blender, and then you can get a strainer to get all of the grit out, because that's the nice thing about the high-powered blender is it really makes it so much creamier. If you don't have a nut milk bag, what you can do is you go to the paint store, like you go to Lowe's or something, and you get a paint straigner. They're like 99 cents. It's the exact same thing as a nut milk bag that sell for like $9 or $10. So I just saved you a bunch of money. Okay, I'm gonna put it on mute for a second while the blender goes so it's not in your ear. Well, the fun of live cooking, I forgot to put the beef in it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab, you can either grab a different pan real quick, or you could dump what we have going in the pot into a bowl real fast, and then we're gonna cook up our meat real quick. Can't believe I did that. That was the main ingredient. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, put this in here real quick. We're gonna saute the meat. So I'm using Beyond Beef for ours. I like to get it in the bulk package because it's cheaper that way. So we're just gonna throw that in there. Using the existing pan, it's probably fine. There's oils and seasonings in there. If you're using a new pan, you might want to put a little bit of spray oil down. So that's why I was like, this went so fast. I forgot to cook off the meat. So with this, I like to kind of just throw it in there, and then as it's cooking, break it up into chunks. And then I was going to show you guys some other meats while we are having that cook, because there's so many vegan meats out there now, vegan beefs and sausages. This is a new company that I don't know if they recently came out or if I just discovered them, called Ozo, but it's based, or yeah, Uzo. It's basically the same thing as Beyond Meat. It's a more beefy type texture. Trader Joe's has a really good one. They also have a turkeyless meat. Then this other brand. There's also Impossible Burger now has it in bulk. This is a sausage, so you wouldn't necessarily want to do that for this one because we're looking for more of a beefy flavor. But this would be really good if you're making like a traditional pasta that's got, you know, typically beef and pork in it. This would be a great vegan item for that. So we're just gonna fry up that meat real quick, like a 7, just to heat it up a little bit. What kind of meat is everybody using that's cooking along? Jude, are you guys cooking along?
So I unfortunately don't have any beef crumbles or anything. So I'm thinking about trying just crumbling tofu.
That could work. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then just put some extra seasoning on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, I'll try it.
Do you have like one of the high protein tofus, like the really dense one?
It's very dense. It's like extra firm.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great ground
Okay.
beef alternative. Totally.
Chelsea, I have the frozen Beyond Beef crumbles with the feisty flavor. I guess it has like some seasoning in it. I thought that might be okay to use in it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then I always like adding mushrooms whenever I do anything that requires like ground beef. I always add mushrooms as just like an extra vegetable too. I like that.
That's a good idea. And it has that good like umami flavor in there that's very like meaty.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. Can't believe that I forgot the meat. Oh my gosh, thanks for hanging in there with me. Okay. So we've got our meat all cooked up now. Let it cook a couple. So is anybody here new to veganism or vegan cooking? Or trying or doing Veganuary? Not that they want to say, that's totally fine. I loved when I went vegan. I always loved cooking, but it was just different when I went vegan. It's just like, I don't know, my husband was just talking about that today. He was, when we met a little over 6 years ago, he was actually a hunter and like the super opposite of me. We met through mutual friends, met at a party, thought each other were cute, but didn't think it was going to lead anywhere, you know, one of those situations. And then went out on our first date and realized we had a lot in common. And he was so compassionate, just the way he was speaking. You know, I'd ask him a lot of open-ended questions. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. But he did Veganuary 6 years ago when we started dating. It was in the form of Challenge 22. It was kind of like Challenge 22 and Veganuary put together. And he felt so much better. When he was done with the program, he went out and he ate carne asada tacos, which is pig, and he got super sick. So he was like, okay, I think my body actually really likes being vegan. So he continued being vegan, and then he got really into cooking, and he just loves cooking now, all the different flavors and textures. And, you know, like we were talking about at the beginning, like trying to mimic that taste and texture that you're used to. And now his mom, who, again, this is a family of hunters, is primarily vegan herself. So we just went out of town for a day. She ate all vegan with us, and she's doing really great. So it's really cool. And now he's able to reach a whole other group of people, a whole demographic, you know, that I can't relate to hunters. I've never shot a gun in my life, you know. And so that's the cool thing about veganism is it's open to everybody. And the more people that join, the more we can expand our reach, because we all have different backgrounds and personalities and experiences that we can share with others and help them connect. Cool. Okay, so now the meat is definitely all cooked, sauteed and ready to go. I'm going to add back in my liquids. So this was the beef broth, the seasonings, the onion, garlic, And then we're going to add in some tomato sauce. Actually, fresh tomato sauce that my mother-in-law made from organic tomato garden. If you have just regular tomato sauce, you could actually use pasta sauce too. If you use pasta sauce, again, just be aware of the salt content because there's a lot of salt. Try and find one that's low in sugar too, because it makes the pasta sauce all kind of weird, in my opinion. Okay, we're doing half a cup of tomato sauce. There, and then we're going to do our cashew cream. Or again, if you are just using an unsweetened milk, plant milk, that works too. So here's the cashew cream that we made. So that was a 1/4 cup of cashews that were soaked in boiling hot water for about 10-15 minutes, and then half a cup of filtered water. Make it nice and creamy. You've got this little spatula. This is actually supposed to be for makeup, but it's one of my new favorite kitchen tools for like salad dressings or trying to get like the corners in here. It's awesome. Like a little skinny flat one. It's one of my other favorites. Get all the last little bits of that cashew half and half. All right, I'm sure we're not missing anything this time. Got the beef broth, the cashew, the tomato, and now we're gonna add in our pasta. We're gonna do 2 cups. I really like the Banza brand. They're gluten-free and it's made from chickpeas and it doesn't fall apart like a lot of gluten-free pastas, but you can obviously use a regular pasta if you like. We're gonna do 2 cups. There, yeah, stir it up. And we're going to bring it to a boil. So put it on high. And once it's boiling, then you're just going to reduce it and cover it, which isn't going to take too long because it's hot. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's already starting to boil. And then depending on what pasta you're using, that's going to determine how long you're going to cook it. This pasta says 9 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to do it for about 8 and see how it cooks, because it's going to continue to cook because it's in like a casserole essentially, instead of like a pasta where you would strain it right away and then it would stop cooking. Okay, so it's starting to boil. So I'm going to put the lid on now. We're going to reduce it. I'm going to set the timer for 8 minutes. Oops. And not turn it off. Okay, cool. All right. How's everybody going or doing? Who's cooking? Love to see some of your dishes, how they're going so far. Baby's got a sous chef in the back.
Hello.
Hi, you guys having fun in the kitchen?
Yeah. We are.
Awesome.
Yes, we're making do because I didn't get the ingredients, so we're just kind of ad-libbing a little bit.
Oh, cool. So what are you guys putting together?
Well, using the tofu, which I haven't thrown in there yet, but we just put the pasta in. I didn't have tomato sauce, but I used tomato paste.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have the cashews. So yeah,
Awesome.
I have most of it.
Perfect. Did you put a little bit more broth in there for the paste to be a little thicker? Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of beef broth did you guys use?
Oh, for us,
Mm-hmm.
I just did the seasoning and salt and water.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Maybe a little extra seasoning.
nice. Isaac, that's looking really good.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit, but Chrissy surprised me. I didn't realize she was actually going to be cooking along. I could smell it from upstairs. So yeah, this is all Chrissy.
Awesome. And that was with the beefy grounds, the crumbles. Nice. Those are really good. I find that those are a little bit drier. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I tend to add like some moisture unless I want like that more dried flavor.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Hi.
Leslie. Here's ours.
Ooh, it looks nice and creamy.
Yeah, definitely put in the cashew. We had done that before here. It's too prep now. Yeah, get started.
Awesome. Looks good. Looks good. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining. Sorry there was that hiccup getting on the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's still not working on the computer, but it worked on her phone. So we were signed in on the same account and stuff too. So it was odd, but we made it.
Good. And then once this is done cooking, then we're going to fold in the cheese. So I had mentioned that I really like the Violife shreds. The Daya shreds I'm not crazy about. Some people love them. I don't really care for them, but I do love their blocks. So what I like to do is just get the block and then I shred it myself. So I'm going to start doing that. And then you'll want about like half a cup to a cup. I put a cup on there to make it really cheesy, but if that's too heavy for you, this is a pretty like decadent dish, especially if you're doing the cashews too. You can always do a little bit less cheese, and you could even just do nutritional yeast too. I don't know if people nutritional yeast much, but it's pretty awesome. I want to show you this. I call this my vegan honey pot. It says nutritional yeast on it, and that's where we keep our nooch. And we go through so much of this. It's really good for you. It's high in vitamins, B12. You want to make sure you're getting one that's Red Star. That's or I think that's the brand is Red Star. It might be the way that it's made on a B12 medium. But like Bob's Red Mill has one. You can get it in bulk. We get it in bulk at grocery or at natural grocers, and like they have these huge, God, I want to say they're like 5-pound bags. It's either a pound or 5 pounds, but either way, we go through a lot of it. So this is a great if you're looking for something that's not as decadent as the regular vegan cheese. You can always just do the nooch, and then it's going to give you that cheesy flavor. And this is also great in dishes where you're looking for like an umami flavor, which is the flavor that's in mushrooms. That gives a really nice depth to different dishes that you're doing. So oftentimes when we do a mushroom dish, like we make this really good lentil dish that has mushrooms and red wine in it, and then we add a lot of nooch in there because it just really adds to the full flavor profile of the dish. So I'm going to grate up some of my cheese while our pasta continues to cook. What kind of cheese do others have that they're using tonight? Anybody else have a favorite vegan cheese that they like?
We typically use Daya.
Yeah. Do you guys like the shreds, or do you just do the blocks? Oh, the chow cheese. Jane's got the chow cheese. That's so good.
Yeah. We use the shredded. Sometimes we use the sliced too.
Mm-hmm.
The chow cheese is expensive, but it's so good.
It's so good. Well, yeah, if you can find it on sale somewhere. Or I heard it's at some of the Costco's now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I've never seen it, but I've heard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I like that.
I heard they have Miyoko's butter and stuff too, but I don't know if it's just the ones we go to. But we haven't been able to find it. But they have it at Miyoko's is at Trader Joe's now, which is nice. mound of cheese. That might be a little much, but so good. I think it's also because a lot of shredded cheeses, they add that like anti-caking stuff. Like even when I ate regular, you know, like cow cheese, I didn't like shredded cheese because it had that anti-caking stuff in there. It just made it taste weird. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left on here. I'll show everybody my soup on the job. You say hi, Bubs. I'm calling him and his brother the cleanup crew. It gets stuck a little bit to the bottom. So I should have probably opened it halfway through. And then as it cools, it will thicken up a bit more. And then for veggies, you could do like a side of greens, you could do some spinach, you could add peas in here. A couple minutes before it's done cooking, you could just add some peas. I do that often with like mac and cheese too. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off. I'll show you guys real quick. So there's not a whole lot to look at. It does taste good. So we've got all the noodles are cooked up in there in the sauce with the vegan beef. And now we're gonna add our cheese. I'm gonna do like 3/4 cup for us. And I did a mixture of really finely shredded and the thicker shreds too, just to give, again, a little bit more texture in there. Like all of it's eventually gonna melt, but if you're eating it right away, those thin little shreds are going to melt first, and the bigger shreds will still be in there. So as you're taking a bite, then you're just getting a little bit more texture, I guess. And then you just mix it in so it gets nice and cheesy. See, I just dropped a little bit of cheese and Preston like ran over and got it. And that's it. Now you have your veganized hamburger helper. Here we go. After I made this, Jake was like, it looks, well, I won't tell you what he told me it looked like, but it didn't look great. I was like, that's the thing about like the standard American diet is it's like so beige. So even when you're like trying to veganize it, it just doesn't look great. So to make it look a little prettier, I definitely recommend putting some peas in there, or you could top it with some fresh parsley or even dried parsley. Or if you don't have that, your Italian seasoning or your oregano, just to give it a little bit more color, pair it with a, you know, a bright salad. So yeah, so that's it. And that's the thing, you know, about bright fruits and vegetables, like evolutionarily, that's what we were drawn to. So that's why when we look at foods that are beige, we're not very tempted by them. So again, that's why it's nice to add a little bit of color. So you can see the orange in here. So there's a little bit of color from the cheese, but you know. So that's it. Thank you everybody so much for joining in. This was really fun. This is the first one that we've done. So even though there were a couple of hiccups, I'm glad that it all went well and we had a good crowd. But before we go, I did want to open it up if anybody had any questions, or if you need help with anything with Veganuary or, you know, vegan cooking in general, if you, yeah, have anything you'd like to share.
Thanks for all the product ideas as well. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And where you got things at the grocery stores and stuff, which grocery stores, that's always a good idea.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I know. I'm really into finding deals. So, you know, why pay more when you don't have to, and sharing that. So I try to share that on my Instagram a lot, like doing different grocery hauls and My husband and I are going through kind of a rough time right now. We both had COVID in November and haven't been able to work. So we actually just started going to the food pantry in Tigard. It's called the Free Food Project. If anybody is local to there, I highly recommend it. They have a lot of vegan stuff. The woman who runs it is primarily vegan herself. They have a whole fridge that's separate for vegan items. So like that's where we got, I don't know if I got anything from here, but I got like the Ozo beef patties from them. On my Instagram, I just shared that I made a salad and we got a bunch of organic produce to make juice. So that's always good. You know, it's okay if when you're struggling to go, you know, there's so much food out there and there's so much food waste. There's another great group called Food Not Bombs that I highly recommend checking out. Even if you have the money for food, go and support them, and you can always give them a fiscal donation. Or I didn't have money to give them yesterday, but I had all these leftover dandies from my business. I make hot chocolate bombs, and I had all these dandies that had just expired and weren't good for hot chocolate bombs, but they were good to make like Rice Krispie treats. So I just brought those. So even if you have like extra food, it's always good to donate to those places too. So I want to share that. Yeah.
You know any places in Seattle?
Trying to think, maybe Sadie does. Sadie, do you guys with NARN know any good food pantries up there that are vegan friendly?
I don't, sorry.
Chris, if you message me on Instagram, you said that you followed me on Instagram, then I'll look into it for you. I know that there's like, I don't know if there's a burrito brigade up there, but we have one here in Portland, and there's another one in Eugene, and they make vegan burritos for people. And then there used to be another group up in Seattle, but I think that they kind of shut down with COVID. But you can also call food pantries ahead of time. We had a friend who actually ran a pantry literally down the street from us. And if people called and asked for a vegan box, he would make it for them. And we could even go volunteer there and say, we only want to touch vegan food. And he would make sure that that was possible. So it's always worth just calling around and asking.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and they definitely, I'm for sure that they have a Food Not Bombs up there. So if you're looking for already made food, and sometimes they give away like extra produce and convenience items that they get too, that would be another resource.
Mushrooms in. I don't have to.
No. Sadie, how is your dish coming along?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was muted and I was unmuted. It is coming along. It tastes really good. We decided to add some Greg's since we didn't have the beef broth.
Mm-hmm.
So that added some good flavor.
Oh, that was a good idea.
And then we just added some peas. So we're just kind of waiting for those, and then we'll add the cheese.
Yum. Well, that's going to be good. Can we see how it's looking?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see what. Not sure. Okay, hold on. Hopefully my laptop doesn't die.
Oh yeah. Looks
Oh,
good.
I did some mushrooms. I like that idea too. So I'm gonna add the mushrooms in there.
Yeah, that was such a good idea, Chrissy. Now I'm wishing we had mushrooms. Yeah. And then we have Jeannie on here. Jeannie, I don't know if you want to talk about what you're going to be cooking next week. She might just be listening in.
There we go. Hi. Thank you so much. I had trouble getting on here, but I'm so glad I got to see about half of you. So half of it. So yeah, I'm going to be making an Indian dal next Sunday. Yeah, and sharing some good resources too and ideas. It'll be fun.
That's so awesome. At the beginning, I was telling people that your passion is whole food, plant-based cooking and SOS cooking. So like low salt, sugar, and oil.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that looks delicious. I'm telling you.
The total opposite. But then that way we get, we hit everybody. And then the third week we'll have Sarah joining us, who's going to be doing Thai food, which is really cool.
That's so yummy.
Yeah. So I pulled some winners, and the winners of the cookbooks. So the first one is Sadie. Sadie, do you prefer to have the whole, that's like, it says now vegan means vitality and vibrant taste. It's the complete vegan cookbook with over 200 recipes. So it's like a big variety, or the type cooking.
Did you say Sadie?
Yeah.
Yay. Tough choice, but maybe the variety ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you.
get, I'll email you because you RSVP'd, you registered. So I'll find your email and email you and to get your address. And then Chris, you're the other winner. So you're getting the vegan Thai book. And then you are on Instagram. So will you just message me? Will you DM me and then give me your address and I'll mail this off to you?
Sure. I just messaged you. Is that?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody. So again, this is the first of the 3-week series that we're doing. So next week we'll be with Jeannie, and then the Sunday after that we'll be with Sarah for Vegan Thai Kitchen. I will email the recipes next week, so we don't have any confusion with that. The password will stay the same as Veganuary, and we're going to continue to do cookbook giveaways. And then with Veganuary, if you check out arcpdx.org/Veganuary, you can sign up for Veganuary there. You can also learn about resources for eating out and just veganism in general, and then more about our other Veganuary events that we're doing. A big one that we're starting tomorrow is a campaign to share your vegan story and try and encourage others to kind of reset their resolutions for the year for 2022 and live a more compassionate lifestyle. So encouraging people to sign up for Veganuary, even though we're halfway through the month. And it happens to be Betty White's birthday. So I definitely recommend finding that event, which is on arcpdx.org/Veganuary. And you can check out that event, and then we have different graphics that Matthew, who's on the committee with us, created. So you can share that along with your story. It can be very brief and heartfelt to try and, say like, I like to use, and of course I'm blanking on how it's feel, felt, found. So, I was feeling this way and I found the solution and this is me now. So, I grew up eating animals as well. And then for my story, my dad passed away when I was in my early 20s, and it really shook me. And I knew that I had to make a change. So then I started looking into healthier ways of eating, and I found veganism. And what I found is it expanded my circle of compassion and was able to bring in all the things that I cared about: social justice, food justice, environmental work, the earth, everything. And so now I love sharing my passion with others, and I really recommend everybody check out Veganuary. So that's like a super brief, just as long as it's about you, other people are going to connect to it. Because like we were talking about, your story is unique, and your unique story is going to touch people that, I can't touch, that Isaac can't touch, that Jane can't touch. So it's really important for all of us to be very authentic in sharing our story and very kind, and really remember that unless we were very lucky, like maybe Sadie sous chef back there was born vegan, many of us weren't. And so we have to remember what it was like before and those struggles that we faced. And then offer community and support. So you can offer to people, if you do Veganuary, I'd love to help you through it. You can ask me any questions. And then if people are local to Portland, we're going to be doing an in-person social on the 29th at Hail Snail. And they're doing a couple of specials for our group. So if you are local, I hope you can join us. And then as ARCPDX, we also do a community meeting on the first Wednesday of every month that is virtual, and everybody is welcome to join us regardless of location. So those of you that are in Seattle, we would love to have you there. We always have really interesting speakers. We had a woman speak from PETA last time about shutting down the 7 primate facilities that are in the US, and there's, they're all over the country, including the big one at UW in Seattle, and then here in OHSU. So this next month, we'll be talking more about different campaigns, including getting those shut down and just more visible to the public, as well as the fur ban, the frog law ban, yes, on IP13, and probably talking about some of the stuff that's happening in Washington as well that NARN is working on, including the the cosmetics ban. But Jane, what is the, what's it called?
The banning of the testing for animals, for makeup, for cosmetics,
Yeah.
which is on Monday, tomorrow. So NARN set out the petition, so you can just like log on and send by proxy, by just a written comment, or if you wanted to talk for 2 minutes, but you can just sign it, and our voices are heard for Washington, because we really need it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
we'll be talking more about those ongoing campaigns and things at our next community meeting. So yeah, just want to share all of that stuff coming up. Again, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm going to show you one last time now that this has kind of cooled off.
Thank you.
That looks good.
Sure does. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you
everybody
so
enjoy.
much.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. This
Bye.
was great. Thanks.